Hello, folks. So this is going to be, I think we're on part 2 of Unbearable Revenge. The work for this actually started a long time ago. Well, a long time ago relative to, when you're going to be watching this video. I started working on this to do until the cows come home. Essentially what we have at this point in the course is we have a TCP proxy where we can intercept and pass commands through the network. We've done some static editing of variables with HXD in order to give ourselves a speed hack, and then I was able to complete until the cows come home with that alone. Well, not that alone, of course. We also needed our proxy in order to do the intercept of the init function in order to determine what our location was. We have also done some static analysis and dynamic analysis with Cheat Engine and Ghidra. And now the next big step in order to really start working on some cheats is to start doing some code injection, right? What we're going to be doing here is called internal cheating or internal injection or internal hooking, or sometimes just DLL hooking or DLL injection. Basically, we know that the game runs when we execute a binary. There's an exe file, but that's a stub because it's very small. It only contains the information needed to run the client. All of the game's logic is in the game logic DLL. We've already been taking a look at that. We know, because it's an unstripped binary, we have the PDB there, that is a godsend. Because that saves us a lot of trouble and makes a lot of things very easy that would normally be very difficult. What we're able to do is we're able to see what the function names and variable names are for a lot of these functions. And that means that it's much easier for us to write code that uses those function names and variable names. And then if we can inject our code and either supplement or supplant or supplement the code that the game is running, then we can make the game do different things by executing our own code. So that means that we need to figure out how to get our code into the game's process. And that means that we are going to be writing a DLL and then injecting that DLL. I already have a proof of concept DLL written, and I'm going to upload this to Canvas, but let me walk you through it real quick here. All right, so what I've done, this is Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition. I have just started up a new DLL project. This is going to be C++. Now, when you start a DLL project, you start with some default boilerplate text, and that's going to be essentially this right here. It's the DLL main. Now, what happens when a DLL is loaded is anything that's in any of these conditions for this switch will be executed when those conditions are met. So, in the first case with DLL process attach, when the DLL is attached to a process, it will execute that code. When the process is detached, it will execute that code. In this case, when the process is detached, just break. My code is done. When the process is attached, it will do this. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a thread for our code to run in, and then it's going to call the pwnhook function. Pwnhook is up here. It's really simple right now. It doesn't really do anything. But essentially what happens is when the DLL is loaded, we will start up a console session. It will print out some kind of feedback to let us know that our code is executing. And then I just have a while true statement with a series of if statements. The get async key state essentially detects changes in key presses. So using numpad 0, what it will do is I only have one variable being declared right now. It's a Boolean B test, which I'm setting to false. When I hit the 0 key on the numpad, it will change the value of btest to the opposite of its current value. So if it starts on false, it'll change it to true. If it's currently true, it will change it to false. And then it will just simply print that to the console so I know that it's working. Then if I hit the end key, it will simply break and it will close the console and we're all done. And then it will kill the thread and we're all good. So essentially we're going to start the client up, and then the game will be running and executing. We will find our entry point. We will inject our DLL, and if it's working, we should see a console with this text on it. And then when we hit the 0 key after we log into the game, we should see it say test is 1, test is 0, test is 1, test is 0. When we hit the end key, it should kill our console, but the game should continue running because the game logic DLL is still in there, and it should be working just fine. So essentially, once our code is done, it shouldn't be affecting anything else in the game. There's no other dependencies or reliances. What I'm going to do if this works is I'm going to expand our if statements to essentially, when I hit different keys on the numpad, it will call different code in different header files. And I already have a hook chat header that I've got written up that I'm going to start working on next. My first goal, if this proof of concept works, is going to be to make our speed hack toggleable. Because it is super useful for getting around the map really fast, but it's kind of annoying when I'm trying to just walk a short distance. So if we make that toggleable, then I can turn it off and on at will. All right, so that's the project. I've already, let's build this. Looks okay. I already built it. There were no changes. That's my mistake. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the DLL out of the debug folder for this project, and I'm actually copying it to the game directory, to the binaries Win32 directory, so that it's sitting there next to GameLogic DLL. And that way I have the version that I'm using in that directory, and then the version I'm working on still in the project directory. Now, if we hop over to here, I have x64 debug running, or in this case, x32 debug, because this is a 32-bit process. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reload our client. We can see we reach our system breakpoint at first, and if we hit next, it stops us again when we reach our entry point. This is exactly what we want to see. So if we go to Symbols and then right-click Pwn Adventure 3 and then load library, and then this looks terrible. Browse, and then Pwn Hook DLL right there. Okay. All right, so now I hit next, and that should kick off the execution of the client. So if I hit next, we have our console that came up here, and we will see the client in a moment. It just takes a good long time for it to it's starting up. You can see Pwn Hook started. Let's make a mess of things. This is great. It means that our code executed and we have our console. Now the only problem that we may encounter is that our client there may be a problem in our code that causes our client to just suddenly crash, because maybe it's, they can't find the right symbols, or there's a problem hooking into the GameLogic DLL or something like that. Doesn't look like that's the case here. I'm going to connect up and get into the game. It froze for some reason. There we go. Oh, and I'm at 20 frames per second, so let me just wait a second. Doesn't seem to be coming back. Okay, let's just connect. Alright, so we joined that game, and let me turn the damn music off. My God. Jeez. Okay. We're in the game. We've got that going on for us. The speed hack is still on. It's great. It's super annoying when you need to go a short distance, but that's fine. We're going to make that toggleable, but let's see if our thing is working. Now, you can see the console in the background now. If I hit 0, we should see a message. Test started out in the false state, so this should print 1 because it changes it to true and then prints the statement. So test is 1, test is 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay, it works. Now if I hit end, it should kill the console, but not the client, the game client. So there we go. We are ready to start building out code to inject into this game and make it do some cool things. I'm going to upload this project, this VS project, to Canvas. I'm not going to upload any of the hacks I do from here on out for it. You'll be able to see what I'm doing in the videos, but I'm not going to just share that code. It should not be that difficult to follow along if you're watching the videos. But this proof of concept will get you about 95% of the way there, so that does a lot of the work for you. Okay? All right, so I'm going to get out of here now, and let's start doing something a little more fun. First step is toggleable speed hack, and then after that, infinite